Hello. Welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy Samantha by Lacey Julius.
Dedication. To my twin sister. Not many people know this, but I have a twin. I was assigned female at birth, and my twin was assigned male. Growing up, life was difficult for Samuel, and it wasn't until later that I truly understood she was transgender. But by the time I did, my own bias had already kept me from truly knowing the person she was meant to be. After her passing, I sorted through Samantha's belongings, uncovering pieces of a life I wish I had embraced more fully. Among them was a short story she had written, one where we were children again, where our parents were gentle instead of strict. In it, the character who represented me asked Samuel if she wanted to try on a ballet leotard, and then the story ended. I no longer have that notebook, but I remember what she had written so long ago. So, I've done my best to recreate the first part of her story and expand it, hoping that wherever she is, she knows this is for her. I have also woven into this story the voices of others, stories I've heard from transgender kids, those questioning their gender, and those who are gender fluid. But beyond that, this story is also shaped by the experiences of transgender men and women I've met over the years. Their journeys, their struggles, their triumphs, and their truths have helped mold this book into something bigger than just one story. It is a tribute to the real, lived experiences of so many who have fought to be seen for who they are. A heartfelt thank you to Brittany, Elizabeth, and Aaron for sharing their experiences and insights about navigating the school system as transgender students. Your courage, honesty, and openness have given me a deeper understanding of the struggles, joys, and resilience that come with being your authentic selves. Your stories have helped shape this book in ways I never could have done alone. I am endlessly grateful for your voices, your strength, and your willingness to share your truths. Each of you is wonderful and beautiful in every way. Never let anyone make you feel otherwise. The world is better because you are in it. And to my wife, Olivia, thank you for your patience as I asked a million questions about your own journey in coming out as transgender. Your kindness, wisdom, and love have meant everything to me. I am so grateful for you, for your openness, and for the life we share together. I love you.
I flipped through my comic book, pretending to read, but my mind kept drifting, pulled away by the rhythmic thud, thud, thud of Shelby's ballet slippers against the wooden floor. She wasn't just dancing. She was performing. The living room wasn't just a room, it was a stage, and she was a star, twirling and leaping with effortless grace. I had seen this 100 times before, but somehow, she always made it look new, fluid, natural, like she had been born for it. Then, with a sharp spin, she flung her arm out, narrowly missing the TV. I winced. "Shelby? Watch it!" She barely even noticed, lost in the music playing through her earbuds, moving straight into another step. Shelby was obsessed with ballet. If she wasn't at class, she was practicing at home. If she wasn't practicing, she was watching videos of professionals, analyzing their technique, memorizing their every move. It was her thing. And I was just a boy on the couch, watching from the sidelines. It was her thing. I glanced up, watching her for a moment before pretending to go back to my comic. We were twins, not identical, obviously. She was a girl, I was a boy. But we still looked alike in a lot of ways. Same hazel eyes, same upturned nose, same long eyelashes that Mom always said were wasted on me. The biggest difference? Our hair. Shelby's was always perfect, brushed neatly, styled into a bun or a ponytail. Mine? Not so much. It had grown past my shoulders after I spent my haircut money on a comic book a few months ago. At the time, I had thought it was worth it, The new issue of my favorite series had just come out, and I figured, what's the worst that could happen? Turns out, Mom was furious. She didn't yell or ground me, but she did something way worse. As a punishment, she refused to take me for a trim, telling me I could just grow it out until I learned responsibility. I had argued, begged, even offered to do extra chores, but she wouldn't budge. So, at first, I was annoyed. I hated the way my hair got in my eyes, how it felt heavy after a shower, how I had to tie it back for gym class just to keep it out of my face. It was just one more thing that made me different from the other boys. But now, I had kind of gotten used to it. Some days, I even forgot about it entirely, until someone pointed it out. Like when cashiers mistook me for a girl and apologized awkwardly when I spoke. Or when Shelby insisted on braiding it one afternoon, just to prove how nice it would look. Or when I caught myself in the mirror and, just for a second, didn't immediately recognize the boys staring back. The weirdest part? I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Shelby spun again, landing gracefully before lifting one foot and balancing effortlessly. She was wearing her usual ballet outfit, a pink leotard, white tights, and soft slippers. She looked so elegant, so effortless. I lowered my comic slightly, watching as she moved, each step controlled and deliberate. I didn't get ballet, but sometimes, just sometimes, I wondered what it felt like to move like that. To wear something so light and fitted, to feel so graceful and weightless. I shook the thought away and flipped another page, forcing myself to focus on the comic. Shelby twirled again, landing with a soft thud against the wooden floor. She made it look so easy. Then, suddenly, she stopped mid-pirouette and turned to me. "Samuel," she said, her voice full of that tone, the one that usually meant she had an idea I wasn't going to like. I looked up. "What?" "You should try it." She grinned, already bouncing over to me. "I can teach you some moves." I snorted. "Yeah, no thanks." But before I could even think about standing up and making my escape, something soft landed in my lap. I glanced down. A pink leotard. A pair of white tights. "Get changed," she said, hands on her hips. I blinked at her. "You're joking." "Nope." She smirked. "Come on, it'll be fun." I looked back down at the outfit, then up at her. She was still smirking, but there was something else in her expression, a challenge. I could refuse, sure. But Shelby wasn't the type to let things go. If I didn't go along with this, she'd probably pester me for days. I sighed. "If I do this, you have to promise not to tell anyone." Her smile widened. "Deal." And just like that, I found myself standing up, leotard and tights in hand, heading toward my room. What had I just agreed to? I trudged up the stairs, holding the leotard and tights like they were some kind of alien artifact. This was ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. But Shelby wasn't the type to let things go, and if playing along for a few minutes got her off my back, fine. I stepped into my room and closed the door, tossing the leotard onto my bed and unfolding the tights. They looked weird. Like super long socks, but way thinner and stretcher. I stretched one between my hands, frowning. How was I even supposed to get these on? I sat on the edge of my bed and tried sticking one foot in. The fabric bunched up awkwardly, twisting around my ankle. I pulled it up a little higher, but it got stuck halfway up my calf. I switched feet, but that one didn't go any better. Okay. This was not working. With a sigh, I got up and cracked my door open. Shelby?" I heard her laugh before she even answered. "What?" I rolled my eyes. "I don't know how to put these on?" She was at the bottom of the stairs in an instant, looking up at me with a huge grin. "Oh my gosh, are you serious? Just tell me," I groaned. She giggled. Okay. Sit down and scrunch them up first, like you're putting on socks. Get your toes in, then pull them up slowly." I stared at her. That's it. And be careful, they can rip if you pull too hard." Great! Not only was I about to wear ballet tights, but now I had to be delicate with them too. I sighed again and shut my door. Time to see if I could actually do this. I did what Shelby said, sitting back down and scrunching up the tights like a pair of socks. Sliding my toes in was easy enough, but pulling them up took more effort than I expected. The fabric was tight, stretching over my legs as I slowly worked them up past my knees. I had to stand up to get them the rest of the way, shimmying them over my thighs and up to my waist. They felt weird. Snug, but surprisingly soft. I bent my knees a little, testing the stretch. Okay, not as bad as I thought. Then I grabbed the leotard. It was lighter than I expected, the fabric smooth between my fingers. I stepped one foot in, then the other, carefully pulling it up over the tights. It fit snugly around my waist and chest, hugging me in a way that felt completely foreign. I stretched my arms back and slipped them through the straps, adjusting the shoulders until everything felt right. I turned to the mirror, half expecting to burst out laughing. But instead, I just stared. I didn't look like me. Not really. And yet, for some reason, I didn't hate it. I stared at my reflection, my breath catching a little in my throat. The leotard fit snugly, showing my shape in a way my usual baggy t-shirts never did. The white tights made my legs look smooth, and without my usual clothes, without anything that really screamed boy, I suddenly wasn't sure what I was seeing anymore. I tilted my head, studying myself. I looked like a girl. The thought hit me hard, like a secret I hadn't known I was keeping. The way the leotard hugged my frame, the way my hair framed my face, it all looked so natural. And the strangest part? I didn't mind it. I swallowed hard, my heart hammering as I reached for the door handle. This was ridiculous. I wasn't supposed to be wearing this. And yet, I wasn't taking it off, either. Pushing the thought away, I stepped out of my room and into the hallway. The soft padding of my feet against the floor felt completely different through the thin layer of tights. Every step made me hyper aware of them, how smooth they felt, how they stretched over my toes and wrapped around my legs like a second skin. It was strange, almost unnatural, yet at the same time, weirdly comfortable. Each step down the stairs made the tights glide against themselves, a sensation so unfamiliar that it sent another shiver up my spine. She's going to laugh. She's going to think you look ridiculous. With every move, the leotard hugged me, the tights clung to my legs, and my nerves twisted tighter. Then I reached the bottom, and Shelby turned to look at me. I braced myself. But she didn't laugh. She just looked me up and down with a small, thoughtful smile. "Huh," she said. "It actually suits you." I wasn't sure what to say to that, so I just shrugged. "So, what now?" Shelby clapped her hands together. "Now, I teach you the basics." She grabbed my hand and pulled me into the middle of the living room. "Okay, first things first, stand like this." She moved her feet into a V shape, heels together and toes pointing outward. I hesitated for a second before copying her. It felt a little weird, but not impossible. "That's first position," she said. "Good. Now, hold your arms like this, round, in front of you, like you're holding a beach ball." I did as she said, bending my arms slightly in front of me. I caught a glimpse of myself in the reflection of the TV screen. There I was, standing in ballet tights and a leotard, feet turned out, arms curved. I should have felt ridiculous. But I didn't. "Alright," Shelby said. "Now let's try a plie. Just bend your knees while keeping your heels on the floor." I followed her movements, feeling the stretch in my legs as I bent down and straightened back up. "Nice! You're actually pretty good at this," she said, grinning. I couldn't help but smile a little. Maybe this wasn't as bad as I thought. After what felt like a solid hour of practice, though it was probably way less, Shelby finally stepped back, hands on her hips. "Alright, I think that's enough for today." I sighed in relief, stretching out my legs. Ballet was way harder than it looked. "Go get changed before Mom gets home," she added, nodding toward the stairs. "Gladly," I said, already turning to go. But before I could make it even 2 steps, Shelby grabbed my wrist. "Wait!" I frowned. "What now?" She had that look again, the mischievous one that usually meant I wasn't going to like whatever she was about to say. "You should wear something else," she said. I blinked. "Like what?" Instead of answering, she ran upstairs. A minute later, she came back down holding a light blue top and a denim skirt. I stared at her. "No way!" "Come on," she said, holding them out. "It'll match better with your tights." "I'm not wearing that." "Why not?" She smirked. "You already wore the leotard. This is just normal clothes." "Normal for you," I shot back. She rolled her eyes. "It's just clothes, Samuel. And you kinda looked like a girl earlier, anyway." I hesitated. I wasn't sure why, but something about the way she said that made my stomach flip. Shelby must have noticed my hesitation because she softened her tone. "Just try it. If you hate it, you can change back." I let out a long breath, staring at the outfit in her hands. "Fine," I muttered. Shelby beamed and shoved the clothes at me. "You look cute." I didn't bother arguing as I trudged back upstairs. What had I just agreed to this time? I trudged back up to my room, Shelby's words still bouncing around in my head. "You kind of looked like a girl earlier, anyway." I wasn't sure why that stuck with me. Maybe because when I looked in the mirror, I had looked like a girl. And maybe, just maybe, I hadn't really minded. I shut the door behind me and looked down at the clothes Shelby had handed me. The light blue top was soft, with slightly puffed sleeves, and the denim skirt looked pretty much like my usual shorts, just, well, a skirt. Shelby and I were twins, but we never really dressed alike. She was always in bright, girly outfits, while I stuck to t-shirts and jeans. But now, for the second time today, I found myself wearing something of hers. With a sigh, I pulled off the leotard and slipped the top over my head. It fit just fine, not too tight, not too loose. The skirt was another story. I hesitated, then stepped into it, pulling it up over my tights. The waistband was snug, but not uncomfortable. I turned to the mirror, my heart thudding a little. There I was. Same face, same shoulder-length hair, but dressed completely differently from how I usually looked. I looked like Shelby. I looked like a girl. And for some reason, I didn't hate that either. I swallowed and smoothed down the skirt before heading downstairs. Shelby was waiting at the bottom, grinning the moment she saw me. "Oh my gosh," she said, clapping her hands together. "You have to let me do your hair." I groaned. "Shelby? Please? Just a little bit? It'll be fun." I sighed, already knowing I wasn't getting out of this. This was turning out to be a very weird day. Shelby spun me around to face the mirror again, her fingers quick and nimble as she adjusted the last hairpin. She'd brushed my hair until it shined and then twisted it into 2 low pigtails, tied off with little blue ribbons that matched the top she'd given me. I blinked at my reflection, heart skipping a beat. I looked even more like a girl. The skirt, the top, the tights, and now the pigtails, it all blended together to create a version of me I'd never seen before. I look cute," Shelby finished for me, beaming. "Seriously, if I didn't know you were my twin, I'd think you were my sister." I opened my mouth to argue, because I should argue, right? But the front door clicked open, and we both froze. "Mom's home!" Shelby hissed, eyes wide. I panicked, half turning to bolt upstairs, but Mom's voice rang out before I could move. "Hey, kiddos, I'm home. What have you two been?" She stepped into the living room, keys still in her hand, and her eyes landed on me. Her eyebrows shot up. "Samuel? What's going on here?" I felt my face heat up, words tangling in my throat. Shelby, of course, had no such problem. I put Samuel in some of my clothes. We were practicing ballet, and then I thought it'd be fun to dress him up. Mom's surprise softened into a smile. "Well, you do make a very cute girl." I shuffled my feet, the hem of the skirt swishing around my knees. "I'll just go change back." Mom held up a hand. "Why? You already have an outfit on." "But… and you look so nice, Samantha," she added, her tone light but her eyes thoughtful. "How about we go out for pizza? My treat." I stared at her. "Samantha?" Shelby nudged me with her elbow, grinning. "Come on, it'll be fun. Plus, we get pizza." I hesitated, glancing between them. Part of me wanted to argue, to run upstairs and change into my usual clothes. But another part, the part that saw my reflection and felt something, a flicker of curiosity, maybe, kept me rooted in place. "Okay," I mumbled. "Pizza sounds good." Mom smiled wider. "Great! Let's get going, Samantha." And just like that, I was heading out the door with them, stepping into the world in a denim skirt and pigtails, wondering what other surprises this strange day had in store. As I slid into the backseat of Mom's car, I could feel everything. The skirt brushed against my legs differently than my usual jeans, lighter, looser, shifting with every tiny movement. The top was softer than the t-shirts I normally wore, and the sleeves rested against my arms in a way that felt strange, but not bad. Just different. Shelby buckled in beside me, looking completely at ease, while I sat stiffly, hyper-aware of every little thing. Mom started the car, humming to herself as she pulled out of the driveway. "It's been a while since we had a pizza night, huh?" "Yeah," Shelby said excitedly. "Can we get breadsticks too?" "Of course!" I stared out the window, barely listening. My stomach felt weird, not from hunger, but from nerves. What if we ran into someone I knew? What if one of my friends was there? They'd see me like this, dressed like a girl, with my hair in pigtails and everything. Would they recognize me? Would they laugh? I swallowed hard, gripping the hem of my skirt as I shifted in my seat. Mom glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "You okay, sweetie?" I hesitated before nodding. "Yeah." Shelby elbowed me lightly. "Relax, Samantha. No one's gonna care," I frowned at her. "Stop calling me that." She just grinned. "Why? It suits you." I didn't answer. Instead, I turned back to the window, watching as the lights of the pizza place came into view. I had no idea what was going to happen when I walked inside. But I was about to find out. The bell above the door jingled as we stepped into the pizza place. The smell of melted cheese and fresh dough filled the air, making my stomach rumble despite my nerves. To the right was the ordering counter, where Mom went to get our food, and to the left was the arcade, a small section with a handful of games, but enough to keep kids entertained while waiting for their pizza. "I'm gonna check out the games," I muttered to Shelby, eager to do something other than stand around feeling awkward. She nodded. "Okay, but don't take too long. Mom's ordering breadsticks." I wandered over to the arcade, the familiar sounds of beeping machines and electronic music filling my ears. There was an old racing game, a claw machine, and a shooter game, but what caught my eye was the high score leaderboard on Turbo Blaster 3000, a game I played all the time. I stepped closer, already itching to give it a try, when a voice behind me made me freeze. "You looking at that game?" I turned slowly, my heart skipping a beat. It was Jake, one of my friends from school. I tensed, waiting for the moment of recognition, for him to point at me and say, "Samuel? What are you wearing?" But he didn't. He just glanced at me, completely clueless, before shaking his head. "Girls don't play Turbo Blaster. It's a boys' game." I blinked. "What?" He shrugged. "It's got fighting, spaceships, explosions. It's not, like, girly or anything." Something inside me flared, an irritation I hadn't expected. I crossed my arms. "I can play this game." Jake smirked. "Oh yeah? You think you can beat me?" I narrowed my eyes. "How about this? We play one round. Higher score wins. Boys versus girls." He snorted. "Fine. But don't cry when you lose." I stepped up to the machine, cracking my knuckles. But as I reached for the controls, something weird hit me. Boys versus girls. Jake saw me as a girl. And that meant I was on the girls' team. I didn't have time to process that before the countdown started. The game was on. The game started, and I focused hard, my fingers flying over the buttons as my spaceship dodged lasers and blasted enemy ships out of the sky. Jake was good, I already knew that, but I played Turbo Blaster 3000 more times than I could count. The score climbed higher and higher, both of us neck and neck. I could feel Jake getting frustrated, hammering the controls harder, but I stayed locked in, dodging the final wave of enemies and landing the last big combo just as the game timer ran out. The screen flashed. Game over. Winner, player 2. I blinked at the score. I won. Without thinking, I turned to Jake, grinning. Ha! You got beat by a girl. The words left my mouth before I even realized what I was saying. Jake's face turned red. Wah, he scowled. That was just luck. I barely heard him. My own words were still echoing in my head. You got beat by a girl. I had said it like I wasn't just pretending to be a girl, but like I actually was one. And for a second, standing there in the skirt and tights, hair and pigtails, I wasn't sure if I had been pretending at all. Jake groaned, shoving his hands in his pockets. Whatever! I'll win next time! Yeah, I mumbled, still dazed. He walked off, grumbling under his breath. I just stood there, heart pounding. Had I really just said that? Had I really meant it? I was still standing there, staring at the arcade screen, when I felt a tap on my shoulder. There you are! Shelby said, grinning. Mom sent me to find you. The breadsticks just got here. Oh! Right! I turned away from the game, still feeling weirdly off balance. Shelby gave me a curious look as we walked back to our table. You okay? You look like you just saw a ghost. I hesitated, then shook my head. It's nothing. She didn't look convinced, but before she could press me on it, we reached the table. Mom was already setting out plates, and in the center of the table was a basket of warm, golden breadsticks. There's my girl, Mom said, smiling as I sat down. You were gone for a while, Samantha. I flinched a little at the name. Not because I hated it, but because I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Shelby slid into the seat next to me, grabbing a breadstick. Samuel, Samantha, was in the arcade. I bet she was beating some boy at a game. I tensed, but before I could say anything, Mom chuckled. Sounds like my daughter. My stomach flipped. Shelby nudged me under the table. Eat up, she said. We still gotta save room for pizza. I grabbed a breadstick and took a bite, but my mind wasn't on the food. I couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened in the arcade. About the way Jake hadn't recognized me. About the way I called myself a girl, without even thinking. And about the way, deep down, that felt. Okay. Maybe even right. After we finished eating, Mom drove us home, the car ride quieter than before. Shelby hummed along to the radio, tapping her fingers on her knee, while I stared out the window, my mind still tangled up in everything that had happened. When we got home, I kicked off my shoes and stretched, ready to finally change back into my regular clothes. But before I could even take a step toward the stairs, Shelby grabbed my wrist. Wait! One more thing! I sighed. Shelby, She held up something soft and pink, a nightgown. I stared at it. No! Shelby pouted, come on, you've already worn the leotard, the skirt, this is just for sleeping. I can sleep in my t-shirt, like always. But it's comfy, she said, holding it up to me like she was measuring. And cute. And... She hesitated, then gave me a small smile. It's just really nice having a sister for once. I blinked. What? She shifted her weight, still smiling. I mean, we're twins, but we've never really done the same stuff, you know? I always wanted a sister to share clothes with, to do hair with, to talk about girly things with. And today, I don't know, it kind of felt like I had won. My chest felt weirdly tight. I should have said I'm not your sister. I should have rolled my eyes, shoved the nightgown back into her hands, and marched upstairs to change. But instead, I stood there, staring at the soft fabric, remembering how I'd felt in the arcade. How I'd called myself a girl, without even thinking. Maybe just one more time wouldn't hurt. I sighed. Fine. Shelby squealed and shoved the nightgown into my arms. You're the best, Samantha. I hesitated for just a second before heading upstairs to change. Maybe being Samantha wasn't so bad. I closed my bedroom door and took a deep breath. Slowly, I pulled off the blue top, the denim skirt, and the tights, folding them neatly and setting them aside. I should have felt relieved to be out of them, back in something normal. But instead, there was a strange, empty feeling, like something was missing. I shook my head and unfolded the pink nightgown Shelby had given me. The fabric was soft, lighter than anything I usually wore. I hesitated for only a moment before slipping it over my head. The nightgown swished gently around my legs as I moved. It was a strange feeling, loose, flowy, different. But not bad. I ran my hands over the fabric, then turned toward the mirror. There was that same unfamiliar reflection from earlier. My long hair, my small frame, now draped in soft pink. I didn't look like Samuel at all. I looked like Samantha. I swallowed hard, then shook the thought away and headed back downstairs. Shelby was waiting on the couch, already in her own nightgown, grinning the moment she saw me. See? Told you it was comfy. I rolled my eyes but couldn't help smirking. It's okay, I guess. She giggled. Well, Samantha, maybe tomorrow you can wear a dress. I froze. What? She grinned wider. I have a bunch that would totally fit you. I opened my mouth to say no way, to tell her this was just a one-time thing. But the words didn't come. Instead, I felt that weird, fluttery feeling in my stomach again, the same one I'd felt at the arcade, the same one I felt every time someone called me Samantha. We'll see, I mumbled, looking away. Shelby clapped her hands together, delighted. I'll find the perfect one. I shook my head, but a tiny smile tugged at my lips as I sat down beside her. Maybe tomorrow? Wouldn't be so bad. I closed my bedroom door and took a deep breath. Slowly, I pulled off the blue top, the denim skirt, and the tights, folding them neatly and setting them aside. I should have felt relieved to be out of them, back in something normal. But instead, there was a strange, empty feeling, like something was missing. I shook my head and unfolded the pink nightgown Shelby had given me. The fabric was soft, lighter than anything I usually wore. I hesitated for only a moment before slipping it over my head. The nightgown swished gently around my legs as I moved. It was a strange feeling, loose, flowy, different. But not bad. I ran my hands over the fabric, then turned toward the mirror. There was that same unfamiliar reflection from earlier. My long hair, my small frame, now draped in soft pink. I didn't look like Samuel at all. I looked like Samantha. I swallowed hard, then shook the thought away and headed back downstairs. Shelby was waiting on the couch, already in her own nightgown, grinning the moment she saw me. See? Told you it was comfy. I rolled my eyes but couldn't help smirking. It's okay, I guess. She giggled. Well, Samantha, maybe tomorrow you can wear a dress. I froze. What? She grinned wider. I have a bunch that would totally fit you. I opened my mouth to say no way, to tell her this was just a one-time thing. But the words didn't come. Instead, I felt that weird, fluttery feeling in my stomach again, the same one I'd felt at the arcade, the same one I felt every time someone called me Samantha. We'll see, I mumbled, looking away. Shelby clapped her hands together, delighted. I'll find the perfect one. I shook my head, but a tiny smile tugged at my lips as I sat down beside her. Maybe tomorrow? Wouldn't be so bad. Mom walked in a few minutes later, carrying a big bowl of popcorn. "Alright, movie night, girls," she said cheerfully, setting the bowl on the coffee table. I tensed for a second at the word girls but didn't say anything. It was easier to just let it slide. Shelby grabbed the remote and flipped through the options. "Let's watch something fun." "Ooh, how about Star Quest?" I perked up. "Really? I thought you hated sci-fi." She shrugged. "I don't hate it. And besides, we watched a princess movie last time. Fair's fair." Mom chuckled. "That's the twin spirit." I pulled my legs up onto the couch, feeling the nightgown drape around me as Shelby hit play. As the opening scene filled the screen, I grabbed a handful of popcorn, slowly letting myself relax. For a while, everything was normal. Just me, Shelby, and Mom watching a movie, like we always did. But about halfway through, Shelby leaned over and whispered, "Hey, can I ask you something?" I glanced at her. "What?" Shelby hesitated, then smiled softly. "Do you like being Samantha?" I stiffened, my fingers tightening around a piece of popcorn. I should have said no. I should have laughed it off, told her it was just for fun, just a joke, just something that happened. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, my mind raced through everything that had happened today. The way the leotard had hugged me, how strange yet exciting it had felt to wear the skirt, how my reflection in the arcade had looked right in a way I couldn't explain. The way my heart had skipped a beat when Jake didn't recognize me. How easily Samantha had slipped from my lips. How I hadn't minded being called a girl. I swallowed hard, my stomach twisting. "I don't know," I admitted quietly. Shelby's smile grew, like she already knew the answer I was afraid to say. A lump formed in my throat. I turned my gaze down, fidgeting with the hem of my dress, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's just..." I hesitated, then finally let the words slip out. "I kind of like how it feels. The clothes, I mean." I swallowed. "I don't know why. I wish boys could wear them too." Shelby's eyes lit up with something that wasn't teasing or smugness, but something softer, something that made my heart beat even faster. "Who says they can't?" she asked simply. I looked up at her, startled. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't making fun of me. She was just accepting it. And somehow, that was even scarier.